think people call us the founders of Blue Man Group because we found the Blue Man. That's basically what we did, and we now set up situations for the Blue Man to show up. That's pretty much our job. He doesn't always show up, but most of the time he does. You just have to sort of try to set up the right situation and wait, and sometimes we'll wait a while, but usually it works. Yeah, we tried to record the show several times, and it became clear very quickly that the Blue Man didn't really want that. I think it's because the music was different from night to night. I think it's because there's something going on in that room that shouldn't be or couldn't be captured.
Some of the instruments they really wanted to play couldn't even fit on the stage. So, you know, how can they record on the stage when the instruments they want to play don't fit there?
That until we were able to get them a space where all this big stuff could live, they had no way of playing the way they wanted to.
We felt like if we created a place and got the technology together and built some instruments, that the Blue Man would start to come up with some really kicking ass music.
I think it became clear early on that the move was to really try to make a rock album, just get away from the whole soundtrack situation, set up a context in here where there was a ton of crazy instruments, a large space to work in, a cleaning crew, and really set the Blue Man free.
A really durable space to work in.
Yeah.
Really. There was no way this was all going to fit in a regular recording studio. I mean, we needed to give them 5,000 square feet, and there's one instrument, the tubulum, which stretches almost the entire length of the building.
We've gone into studios before, and it just didn't, for whatever reason, it just didn't feel right. There's some pristine and all that. But so then the question was, you know, what about being part of rock history? What about doing for rock and roll what Blue Man Group has done for theater? And that is really try to make some impact. So we sat around and said, could we make an album as good as some of the greatest albums of all time? The Sgt. Pepper's, the Elvis Sun Sessions, the Nevermind the Bollocks, Dark Side of the Moon, you know, London Calling. And I think we came to that the answer was no on that one. But we went down the list a little bit further to the influential albums, the albums that other artists had listened to, that had, you know, really impacted the world, even if their sales and their overall consensus wasn't as big. But you know, you've got your you know, the Pixies album, Television's Marquee Moon, Velvet Underground, Grandmaster Flash. Some of these albums that you know, that really had an impact on other artists. And could we make an album of that ilk, of that impact? And again, I think the answer was no on that one. But if you go just a little further than that, and you get to like Mr. Night Ranger, some of, not Journey, but Steve Perry's solo work, and I think we thought, you know, we could go for it.
Music was very cool. Music is completely, you know, to me, very unique. New instruments and, you know, tribal rhythms and grooves. The process of going through and making these industrial pieces of equipment make sound totally, you know, awesome.
Sort of a through line of this album is looking at the place where percussion and melody meet. We tried the synthesizer. They didn't last long in the way Blue Man used them.
I wasn't offended the time the Blue Man broke my guitar. It seemed totally appropriate at the time. They were learning the barriers of how percussive you could be with a guitar. And, you know, I gotta say, it didn't really work out that time. But I wasn't offended at all.
So we started building these instruments out of PVC pipe because we thought that the Blue Man would like that. We started to learn that he might like the kind of like this juxtaposition of something modern but something sort of ancient at the same time. It's a modern material, but it's kind of played in an ancient way, and you're really playing it.
So we put these PVC tubes, which are huge. They're 8 feet, they're 12 feet, they're 20 feet long. And we put them on these huge racks, and they're heavy. And at first, it seemed to be all right for the Blue Man, but very shortly thereafter, they wanted to become mobile. They wanted to be able to move around, I guess, very much like a rock guitarist and his axe. And that presented some difficulties, actually.
But it led to the development of the backpack tubulum, which has turned out to be a great instrument. It solved the problem of mobility. It lets them, express whatever they want to have come through them, while walking around. These tube instruments have a kind of a sequencer sound. One of the things that started to emerge is there's sort of a techno-tribal kind of futuristic but ancient sound. One of the motifs of the album, there's kind of a cowboy quality to it. It's kind of a spaghetti western thing, which is appropriate, I think, for the Blue Man. There's three outsiders sort of rolling into town. No one knows exactly where they come from,
where they're going,
who are they? But by the time they're gone, we've all changed just a little bit. We've learned something about the town, at least, or where the town is.
How to feed their animals.
Yeah.
I don't know, I guess the thing that makes the music really interesting for me is that it's just a strange combination of just so many different things. It's got a big element of like a punk energy, but it's got this crazy spaghetti western guitar, all these bizarre instruments and these rolling tribal drums that just, they're very relentless. The songs are, they tend to be pretty long because they just hammer the whole same parts over and over again, and it just sort of draws you in.
We were very excited to build a series of instruments that took advantage of the performance that you had to play, that you could make a mistake on.
It was physical, it was real, it was in your face.
Kind of a resonant quality. Resonant is in extremely vibrational to the chest cavity, whether those are big drums or lots of low notes. Even in the guitars, it's a baritone guitar or the lower six-string bass. There's on the cymbalum, there's also a love of these lower resonant notes.
The way the Blue Man drummers approach drumming is we try to be very tribal. It's not about chops or fills. It's about drawing from within. We like to have a lot of guys playing as one, as opposed to different people playing different things. We feel that that's a much more powerful way to convey our message.
Once we finished recording audio, we started looking for places that we could take this new material and perform it. The instruments and the big drum wall are too big for our current theatrical productions. And we found a place in Las Vegas, the Luxor Theater, and we're working now to set up this larger configuration, the larger band, the big instruments, the backpack tubulums, so people can see this this stuff in a live setting.
It's almost like the Luxor production is the bridge between where we're at now and a full-out rock and roll show.